When we talk to each other, what we say, how it's said, and what we don't say reveals a lot about how we see other people, if they're safe, if we can trust them or not. What we say also shows others how we view the world, how I make sense of the world. Similarly, when we read any scripture, it's important to listen and understand where the writer is coming from, to see things from their perspective so we can better understand how it can give us insight now, thousands of years later. Psalm 86 that we're reading today is no exception, written by David in his plea for God's help, where he's heartbreakingly vulnerable and honest in telling God exactly what he's feeling, and that's good to do. We also get a glimpse of how David views the world when he prays. He sees the world ordered from the top down. God was at the top above them, as were the heavens. And of course, our worldview now is very different because we know our planet is a globe. So it's a bit tricky to talk about God up there now, if we're in Australia and all that sort of thing. So let's take that into account when we listen. Bend down, O Lord, and hear my prayer. Answer me, for I need your help. Protect me, for I'm devoted to you. Save me, for I serve you and trust you. You are my God. Be merciful to me, O Lord, for I'm calling on you constantly. Give me happiness, O Lord, for I give myself to you. O Lord, you are so good, so ready to forgive, so full of unfailing love for all who ask for your help. Listen closely to my prayer, O Lord. Hear my urgent cry. I will call to you whenever I'm in trouble, and you will answer me. Verse 14. O God, insolent people rise up against me. A violent gang is trying to kill me. You mean nothing to them. But you, O Lord, are a God of compassion and mercy, slow to get angry and filled with unfailing love and faithfulness. Look down and have mercy on me. Give your strength to your servant. Save me, the son of your servant. Send me a sign of your favor. Then those who hate me will be put to shame. For you, O Lord, help and comfort me. The word of God for us today.
A few songs today about troubles and a psalm about trouble. And this one right here for you this morning. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrow. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows, oh, but Jesus. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Oh, yes, my Lord. Sometimes I'm almost beat to the ground. Oh, my Lord. Nobody knows trouble I've seen. Nobody knows, oh, my song. Nobody knows all the trouble that I've seen.
seen. Nobody knows, oh, but Jesus. What makes that old devil hate me so? Oh, I'm asking low. He had me once, but he had to let me go. Oh, glory, hallelujah. I wish that I could just find a way. Oh yes, my Lord. But my life is just one long rainy day. Oh, my Lord. Maybe one day when I'm just walking around. Oh, my Lord. Heaven will open and God's love will come down. Oh, my Lord. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows, oh, my sorrow. Nobody knows all the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Oh Lord, the trouble that I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows but Jesus.
The song Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen was first published a year after the end of the United States Civil War, April 1866, with later editions quickly following. It was a relief worker from Boston, Massachusetts, who had traveled down to Charleston, South Carolina, to assist in the rebuilding of that city, and she heard the song being sung in a children's classroom. The song was sanitarily described as, quote, a specimen of one of the hymns sung by the freedmen of the South. The reality is that it was a song generations old by the end of the Civil War, a product of the South Carolina cotton fields. At least the words came from those cotton fields. The tune was adapted and borrowed from another song of North Carolina origin, the murder ballad, Hang Your Head, Tom Dooley, whose origins go back to Ireland and Scotland. Nobody Knows is a standard today, a standard of the African American spiritual, having been covered by the Jubilee Singers, Mahalia Jackson, famously by Louis Armstrong, the Blind Boys of Alabama, and a masterful rendition by Sam Cooke. And it has shown up in popular culture for years. It's sung in an episode of Doctor Who, out in space. It makes an appearance on the sitcom The Big Bang Theory. It's in the movies Police Academy, Spaceballs, and The Lion King. But again, that is to sanitize its origins. Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen didn't begin as a piece of music, borrowed tune or not. It began as a prayer, a pleading, lamenting, begging, sorrowful plea for help, sent toward heaven from Charleston and the Sea Islands off the coast. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down, sometimes I'm bent to the ground. The singer is carrying his or her load, literal and figurative. I wish that I could just find a way, but my life is just one long rainy day. There's no real chance of his circumstances changing. And then there is a lyric, I didn't sing it today because I just sang the lyric last week, that has found its way into multiple spirituals of the period. You'll find this lyric in Wade in the Water, Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, In My Time of Dying, among others. If you get there before I do, just tell my friends I'm coming too. These lyrics could be sung about heaven, but that's not the original meaning. These were slaves singing in code to each other. They were hopping on the Underground Railroad and heading north, if they could, to escape their troubles. If you get there before I do, tell my friends I'm coming too. It's just one of the most amazing things to me how an enslaved, exploited, mistreated people took the contaminated Christianity of their oppressors and turned out some of the most beautiful songs of liberation that have ever graced the ears of the world. But let's not commit the sin of sanitation here either. This music and these songs were born from the deepest of troubles, born from this country's original sin of slavery. More than 12 million Africans were abducted, put on ships as slaves to the New World. The largest forced migration of people in world history. 2 million of those slaves would die on the ships and never see the shore. And double that many more would die wearing chains and under the whip. Nobody knows the trouble those desperate people saw. And yet they remained. Their descendants remain. Those who could made a decision to survive, to keep going, keep living in spite of the injustice and the absurdity of it all. A couple of years ago, I gave a series of talks from the book of Ecclesiastes. It was a series on making meaning. The central character of those talks, beyond the author of Ecclesiastes himself, was another deep, brilliant Jewish thinker and writer named Viktor Frankl. Frankl is one of those individuals to whom I return time and time again. Born in Austria more than a century ago, he was a physician, psychologist, and an eventual Holocaust survivor. That last accomplishment was his greatest achievement, and it shaped the remainder of his life and his work. Victor suspected, as he came of professional age, that we human beings are mostly motivated not by power or money, pleasure or pain. Only those people who are less evolved can be captured by such lower things. No, we are meaning-making creatures. We must discover personal significance of some sort, a purpose for our existence. Life has to mean something. His hypothesis, of course, was put to the test. In 1942, he, his wife, his father, his mother, his brother were all taken by the Nazis and deported to concentration camps. His father died of starvation. His mother and brother died in the gas chambers at Auschwitz. His wife died of typhus at Bergen-Belsen. Victor survived after spending 3 years in 4 different camps. Here was a man whose life's work was to search for and to provide meaning, purpose for living one's life. He has said and had taught that if you have a why to live, you can endure almost any how or what that life gives you. And now here he was, suffering the most heinous, the most ridiculous, the most meaningless agony that the contemporary Western world had ever seen. How could his work hold up under such circumstances? And for a season, he didn't know if it could. But he had a breakthrough, a profound spiritual experience. He writes this, slide 2, Garrett. We were at work in a trench. The dawn was gray around us. Gray was the sky above. Gray the snow, gray the rags in which my fellow prisoners were clad, and gray their faces. I was conversing silently within myself, or perhaps I was struggling to find the reason for my sufferings, my slow dying. In a last violent protest against the hopelessness of imminent death, I sensed my spirit piercing the gloom. I felt it transcend that hopeless, meaningless world, and from somewhere I heard a victorious yes in answer to my question of an ultimate purpose. At that moment, a light was lit in a distant farmhouse which stood on the horizon as if painted there in the midst of the miserable gray. The light shineth in the darkness. The book that emerged from Frankel's experience is entitled Man's Search for Meaning. It is a profound, impactful little piece of literature whose basic message is this. In the most inhumane set of circumstances, one can still find meaning in life if one chooses to find and to make meaning. It's called existentialism. It's this philosophical approach to life, and it seeks to answer, obviously, the question of our existence. Why are we here? What are we doing with the lives that we have? How are we to live purposefully when so much around us seems pointless? And the existentialist answers, as we are all free, autonomous individuals, each of us is responsible for our own lives and for creating purpose and for making meaning out of our existence. No one else can do that for you. Not your parents, not your school, not your government, not your religion, not your spouse, not your children, not even your God. If you are going to discover and uncover real significance, it will be your personal journey. It will be your individual task. It will be your responsibility. You have to find your own sustaining reasons for living. This world makes no sense to me most of the time. This world is largely insane. I said to Bobby this morning before service that if any extraterrestrials ever show up on this planet, it'll be one of two kind. It'll be an old alien who got lost in the neighborhood and can't find his way back home. Or it'll be a teenage alien who took his dad's car for a joyride and can't find his way home. I think Earth is that planet at the edge of the universe that when ETs drive by, they lock their doors. This world's crazy and there's not a whole lot I can do about it. Nor can I wait for someone to come along with this perfect formula or this perfect religion or this perfect politics or this perfect hypothesis, this perfect ideology, this perfect moral code that will sort it all out nice and neat. It is going to be up to me. It's going to be up to us. It's going to be up to all of us to enter into the absurdity of living and to see the world for how it really is, to discover who we really are, and then live authentic, grounded, meaningful lives in spite of the preposterous world that surrounds us, to find meaning even in spite of all the troubles that enter our life. I will repeat myself from one of those talks earlier. It is meaning that we are in search of. It is purpose that we need, not sense. Because some things will never make sense in your life. It's not the search for answers. Some questions have no answers. Some situations have no solutions. It's not a quest for explanation, resolution, fulfillment, or closure. In your life, you may never find reconciliation with your past, perfect love in your future, rescue from your current circumstances, or reprieve from your sufferings. One could live his or her entire life and find none of those things. But that doesn't mean that your life is useless or hopeless or meaningless. There is more. There has to be more if we will keep from going insane in an insane world. Here is Viktor Frankl's most famous and most quoted words. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms. It is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. And going further, it is clear that you cannot control what happens to you in this life, but you can always control what you will do about what happens to you. For example, in the concentration camps, in this living laboratory and on this testing ground, we watched and witnessed some of our comrades behave like swine while others behaved like saints. Humans have both potentialities. Which one is actualized depends on our decisions, not our conditions. Man is that being who invented the gas chambers of Auschwitz. However, he is also that being who entered those same gas chambers upright with dignity and the Lord's Prayer on his lips. With this as a background, I ask this question or these questions. What are you going to do with the troubles that are bound to come to your life? How are you going to react to the difficulties that will inevitably land on your doorstep? What will be your attitude? What will be your chosen disposition when you face the unavoidable madness and injustice of being a fragile human being in an unforgiving, inexplicable world? That choice will be yours and only yours, and no one else can do the choosing for you. This is my last talk in this series on the Psalms today. And today we have arrived at another Psalm of David, Psalm 86. It's all about trouble, bad trouble, big trouble. And it's about David's attitude in the midst of these troubles. He doesn't whine. He doesn't quit. He doesn't blame. Instead, he seeks God's supporting presence. He asks for help. He prays for a bit of happiness, begs for some uplifting mercy that he might go on even while he is hated and despised, even while his life is in danger. Those words again, as once might not be enough, just a few of the phrases. Bend down, O Lord, and hear my prayer. Answer me, for I need your help. Protect me, save me, be merciful to me. Give me happiness. Listen closely to my prayer. Look down, have mercy on me. Give your strength to your servant. I love this one. Send me a sign. You ever prayed that prayer? Oh Lord, help and comfort me. Each of the Psalms fits into a typology. That is, there are 5 major categories of Psalms. And these could be subdivided into many more groupings. I'll keep it simple. First, there are the hymns. Hymn psalms. Formal worship songs that bring praise to God's greatness. Second, there are psalms of thanksgiving. Songs of gratitude to God. 3, there are royal psalms. These speak of the relationship that Israel has with Yahweh as ruler and as king. Fourth, there are wisdom psalms. And I don't know why that period got in there on my slide. They're instructional in nature. And then fifth and finally, by far, the largest category are psalms of lament. These are the psalms written in times of trouble, in times of disaster, in times of questioning, be it individual or communal, personal or corporate. Now, not every psalm can be neatly indexed, as some fit into one or more categories, but that is not the case with Psalm 86. It is clearly a psalm of lament. David uses language that could fall from any of our mouths, pleading to be heard, to be helped, to be saved, to be strengthened, to be comforted, words in search of meaning. Rachel Goldberg Poland, whose son was abducted and later murdered by Hamas in the October 2023 terrorist attacks, says it this way: I have discovered that suffering is the same. The set design for how things unfold for each of us varies, but loss is loss. So your suffering is like mine, and mine is like yours. Pain is pain. And pain is all part of this enterprise of being human. All who share the challenges of grief and suffering must cobble together how to stumble forward through another day in this world without a part of us here. All of us must choose our attitude in our circumstances. And the best place for that attitude to be adjusted, as this Psalms informs us, is by placing ourselves and our circumstances wholly and completely into God's hands. There is a reason why there are more Psalms of lament than any others. Do you know that reason? Because we're always in trouble. We're always getting boxed into the corner by our circumstances, and we must call on that power greater than ourselves to come to our aid. I hear people say things like, well, you know, the only time that person prays or even thinks of God is when they're in trouble. Well, can you think of a better time? Imagine if you heard a conversation that went something like this. Could we hit the defrost just a little back there? Not that conversation. Hey, back there. Could we turn the air down? Down as in higher temperature? Thanks. Imagine if you heard a conversation that went something like this. Did you hear about Bill? No. What happened to Bill? He called 911 to his house. Really? Yeah. And here they came. Fire trucks first. You know, I did a little research, and I think they get about 3 miles to the gallon. And under steam, I bet they get a lot less than that. And they had firefighters hanging all off of them. The lights are turning off, and the traffic's all snarled up. And they came tearing through the neighborhood and parked on Sally's yard. And then the police showed up. More blue lights and barking dogs. And then the ambulance arrived. And then there were more fire trucks from stations even further away. It's no wonder our millage rate keeps going up in this county. It's no wonder our taxes are so high. Well, why did he call 911? His house was on fire. Would you blame someone whose house is on fire for calling for help? Of course you wouldn't. You wouldn't do that. Only a fool would do that. You don't criticize people for calling emergency services when there is an emergency. The dispatcher on the other line of 911 doesn't answer your call and say, 911, how can I help you? My house is on fire. Oh, I see it's you again, Bill. We haven't heard from you since 2014 when you had that car wreck. And now you call and ask for a little more help. You only call us when you need something. Well, is there a better time? This is consistent with human nature. It's consistent with the entire book of Psalms. The time to call for help is when you are in trouble. And then you make the decision to persevere as best as you can until that help arrives. We haven't been enslaved. We haven't endured a Holocaust. Many of us have never buried a child. So maybe I just shouldn't bother God with these more minor issues. Can we go back to that slide from Ms. Goldberg? Suffering is all the same. The The set design for how things unfold for each of us varies, but loss is loss. So your suffering is like mine is like yours. Pain is pain, and pain is all a part of this enterprise of being human. All who share the challenges of grief and suffering must cobble together how to stumble forward through another day in this world without a part of us here. The cobbling and the stumbling forward begins by acknowledging that you need some help getting through. Some years ago, I met with a person who was working through some issues. This person was trying to stay sober and acknowledge the power of working the 12 steps, but she remained, at least by her testimony, an agnostic. And she asked a really good question. How can I surrender to this higher power when I'm not really sure that this higher power exists? I'm not an evangelist. And what I mean is, I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. All I can do is point toward the love and the light that I have experienced. And so I said to this dear person, you must at least accept that there is a collective wisdom, a rationality, a knowledge that is greater than what you know or experience on your own. You must at least acknowledge that you can't do what you're attempting to do by yourself. And that seemed to do the trick. You see, trouble comes to us all. And by prayer, experience, grace, salvation, whatever name you use for God, help will come to us all if we will surrender and let the mercy, assistance, and guidance of that power greater than ourselves come to us in our time of greatest need. It's okay to ask for help when help is exactly what you need.